today's video. So this is by far one of the most requested videos because today I want to get a little bit into the topic of my style evolution and how I found my style. Believe me, I haven't been dressing like this forever, but it's been like a good 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I can't really tell you like the exact day that I started, but it definitely has been a little bit of an evolution. So I want to take you back to my teenage years and share what I wore with you and how I found my style that just makes me feel a lot more like myself. Okay, so I went through my phone, my hard drive, a bunch of photos. I have some physical photos here to kind of put this together. And I want to start with these pictures. I think if you like scroll down all the way on my Instagram to 2015, these are the first pictures that you're gonna find. In 2015, I was 16. Yeah, I had very, very long hair. I remember really much loving that. I never really wanted like long hair. I was never the kind of person who was like, I need to let it grow. But I just that one day stopped going to like the hairdresser, and it had that really hippie-esque look that I truly loved. So for this first picture, I'm wearing this dreamy long white dress. I remember loving this. Also, you might see a lot of kind of professional photos from when I was like 16, 17, 18. And that is mainly because I was working in the movie industry and I had a lot of friends who were like in the movie industry, and a lot of my friends wanted to be photographers, and so they were always like, well, if we go there, can I take your picture? And so that is why I have a lot of these. So yeah, I love this dress. It was kind of like lacy. It definitely was a modern dress, but it had some like gun socks inspired elements, and so I really loved it. Yeah, my hair just was long and that was kind of the look. There's this other picture where you can just kind of see the dress a little better. Yeah, not a lot to say about it. This was me at 16. So in 2015, I really much started to get into music. I've always been a fan of music. I feel like that's a weird thing to say, but I always loved listening to music. I've definitely been that kid, and I'm still that person. I like dance around my living room a lot, and I was like playing theater at the time, doing like a lot. But when I was like 15, I definitely kind of found the 60s and 70s music wise. I loved it. I remember listening to the Beatles and absolutely being in love. I remember listening to The Who, all of these amazing musics, reading like a book about Woodstock and just being so inspired. 2015 really was a year for me that I discovered the 60s and I really loved it. So I have this picture here. Can't really see my face. I don't know, I found it on Snapchat, which I haven't used in years. But I'm wearing these like shorts. They're denim shorts with a little bit of lace, and I love them. Honestly, I remember loving these so much. I think I got them on vacation with my mom in England. And then this little blouse, I think this was from the kids section. I don't remember it, but it was like a very Carmen-esque style off the shoulder blouse. Very, oh yeah, there's this other picture. This was actually taken a lot later, but you can kind of see the blouse a little better in this. Yeah, it was so lacy, it was so dreamy off the shoulder. I remember that it had like a ruching down here as well, and a little elastic, and so I could kind of put it up and make it cropped. So I loved to wear that. This was a look that I really loved. One more really exciting thing that happened in 2015, as said, I was doing theater a lot at the time, and I was also an aspiring filmmaker. And so I wrote and produced and kind of put together an entire theater play. It was amazing. So I have the paper here. The thing is, I don't want to show you the faces because we were all underage also, so I don't want to show you this. But maybe I can show you like kind of like this. It was called, I know there's a type. It was called Beatles Border Bubblegum. It was basically about in the 60s, Berlin was divided. There was Eastern Germany and Western Germany. It was kind of all about that. Let's not really get into that. But there is a little picture of me right here wearing this like little pinafore dress that I really loved at the time. And I feel like this was also a time where I, for the first time, kind of looked out for 60s and 70s clothes because of this play. Like I wrote it and I was like, okay, I need fabulous clothes for it. And so basically, I had been going thrifting a lot before. My mom, she's always been just very eco-friendly, very much into sustainable living. And so we definitely went a lot of thrifting at that time, but I was merely looking for like modern style things. Yet, this was the first time that I was looking for 60s and 70s pieces. And I'm just gonna like hold it like this. Hope you can see, but there are some great outfits in this play. There's this yellow dress that someone found for us, big glasses, and just overall this I feel like was a pretty solid look for like a bunch of 16, 15, 12-year-olds basically putting this together. So yeah, just looking at this, oh, I had a great time. See, we played it in July of 2015. It's gonna be 10 years next year. That's actually insane. So yeah, this was definitely something that really much opened my eye to the fashion too. And then at the same time, I was also getting a lot more into like the Beatles and their wives and their style. Pamela Curson came up a lot of the time for me. Francois Hardy, Twiggy, obviously Edie Sedgwick. Yeah, that was definitely something that I was very interested in at the time. Okay, one thing that I feel like is very important here, because it kind of seems like with these next pictures, I kind of like took a step back from the vintage fashion. And that is because I always thought, and there's like a common theme in my life, I was always like, movies is my thing. And so fashion cannot be it. So basically, this seems so silly right now, but I've always been like the movie girl. In school, I was always the one doing film project. I was like shooting so many movies all the time, starting from like a very young age. Like in kindergarten, I kind of like started to be like, oh, I want to make a little film. My dad had an old video camera, and so I felt like I couldn't do fashion as my thing too. So for a time, I kind of went back to a very plain style. So this next picture, I also dyed like the bottom part of my hair pink. I don't even know why I did it. I just felt like it was kind of cool at the time, I guess. But this picture is very simple. I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I feel like there's always been this duality of me wanting to like be my own person. I've always been very confident with who I am. It just kind of like shattered a little later. But at this point I still was. But I feel like style-wise, I kind of also wanted to fit in a little at this point. Yeah, which seems a little weird to me. But yeah, I was wearing that a lot of the times. And then you can definitely see me in these lacy shorts again with the pink hair. Oh, okay, this next picture, this was taken when we went to Barcelona with my school for like a final little thing, and I just had gotten these amazing circular sunglasses, and I love them. You can see I'm kind of like I just braided my hair a lot, and then it got like wavy overnight, and then I had these sunglasses. It's like a very Janis Joplin inspired look, wore like a lot of bigger kimonos and wraps, and I really, really loved it. And then there's another picture from that trip, where I'm like wearing this white lacy shirt. All of these pieces hadn't been vintage, but I felt like, I remember seeing this in store and I was like, oh, this is so perfect for like a hippie-esque kind of look. And so I wore it pretty much the entire trip. Okay, so this next picture, I'm like 18 now. So I need to end this mid-2017. I had just graduated. I cut off the pink. I was so over it. My hair was so damaged. And yeah, I remember for like our graduation, everyone was wearing these like ball gowns, and I remember feeling like that's just not me, and I wanted a very hippie inspired dress. But I, for some reason, didn't thought of thrifting at that point. So I just kind of like went through the stores, and I remember, I think I found this at Hollister. I'm not entirely sure. I honestly don't know why I have this like big print of this picture. Also, I'm just holding my hand over this shot of my ex-boyfriend because I don't know if he wants to be in this. But basically this was what I ended up wearing to my graduation. These are all like fresh flowers. I just cut them and made like a little flower crown. This white lacy dress, and I still have it. I just don't quite love it at this point because like the underdress is just white and just goes like to the knee, and then there's a lace going all the way down, and I don't really love the look, but I still have it. I'm thinking I might do something with it. It also has like the dreamiest open bag. Okay, 2017 was done and I started working in the movie industry. So for people who've never worked in the film industry, basically you should wear very practical clothes. There's a lot of like running around, bending over, sitting down, and so it's kind of all about wearing something practical. And so at this point I also kind of taken like a step back, yet all of these looks started to feel very vintagey because it was just what I liked. I remember getting this coat, and I still have it. It's like a shorter one. It's wool, dark green, and it like is double buttoned, and I loved it so much. There's another picture of me in that coat, and one thing that I liked to do at the time was to wear berets as well. And then I'm wearing this top that isn't vintage, but it has like these stripes that makes it look very vintagey. A little black mini skirt. This was definitely not a work day, with like buttons down, some fishnet tights. I remember like seeing pictures from like the GTOs and also like 70s fashion, everything that was kind of like the Sunset Strip in the 60s and 70s, and seeing people wearing these fishnet tights, and I really love them. And then I also wear like these shiny shoes, and these wear like a very classic kind of tight shoe, and I remember seeing them at like a shoe shop with a friend. He was going in to like get a pair of shoes, and I saw these and I was like, I love them. And I remember they were really discounted because at that time I was also like doing a lot of internship at movies, and they pay you like 400 euros a month for like 60-hour work weeks. It's insane. And I remember these were really discounted and they were really much in my budget. However, the like down thing of this was that they were like 5 sizes too big. I think I still have them. I was like, I gotta give them away in a bundle at one point. But yeah, I love them. I loved the look, honestly. They were so cool. Oh, this next picture, this is a major regret because I'm wearing these really cool, like long blue corduroy pants. This was like my first pair of corduroy pants. I love them so much. They're like straight cut. And I gave them away in a bundle, and I remember these pictures, I had just seen pictures of Francois Hardy and just her kind of style, and I really, really loved it. I was like, the beatnik look, that's definitely something that I do. And yeah, so I am wearing that in this picture. And some like platform Mary Janes. I remember getting these and thinking that they had like a 60s look. Looking back, they don't work that well with the area. They're definitely more of like a 90s look, but for the time and like making work with what I had, I really liked this look. The next one, this was kind of a work outfit that I wore frequently. A little turtleneck. Then these jeans, I remember really much liking the 80s and 90s jeans trend, where it was just like a little looser. I, as like a lot of people in my generation, I guess, we grew up wearing skinny jeans, and so this kind of like a little looser look really, I just really liked it, to be honest. And it also reminded me a lot of like Nico and that kind of style. It's definitely not a 60s look, but it has like a vintagey feel. Some all-star Converse, which I don't know why I got rid of them because they definitely would work with like 60s looks. Yeah. Okay, so this picture, it was also like taken around the same time, 2017, 2018 probably. And I remember seeing this shirt in store and just really loving it with like the stripes. I felt like it reminded me a lot of Roger Daltrey and just like a very classic 60s, very androgynous look that I liked. In this next picture, I'm also wearing my glasses, and I remember getting these to just have a very like 60-esque kind of frame. A turtleneck, I've always loved a good turtleneck. These pants, I remember looking at them and being like, oh, they're so 60 because they had this like really cool pattern. They were definitely modern. I remember they had like these big metal pieces at the sides, and I didn't really love them. I think I got them at H&M, so I parted with them at one point, but I remember that that was like a look that made me feel very confident. I love this picture. I remember seeing a picture of Edie Sedgwick with her like striped shirts, and I was like, oh, I love that. And I had a striped shirt, and so for the longest time I used to wear that with like a black mini skirt, black tights. The shoes that I'm wearing here, they're very chunky. I feel like that doesn't really work with the look, but I remember feeling like that was such an Edie kind of look. And I feel like what really helped me grow into my style was to go on Pinterest and just look through it and be like, do I like this or do I don't? And I feel like at this point I was very much into just recreating any 60s look, and I feel like I'm definitely gonna touch on that later again, because at one point I was kind of like, do I like all of the trends, or are there ones that just feel like a little more true to myself? In early 2018 February, I went to Indonesia with friends for like a month. And there are some pictures, I think I'm just gonna put some up here. We only were able to bring like very little things because we traveled a lot. And I had this like yellow dress and I loved it so much. It's like a very hippie-esque kind of look. So that was definitely just a look that I really liked. And something that had just happened a couple days before, I guess, is that I cut my hair. So basically I'd had this like very long hair, not really cut to it or anything. And I was like, I need change, and I really loved the 1960s bob, and so I went all in with like the shorter bangs actually, and like a very, very short bob. I don't think that cut was for me necessarily, but I loved it and it made me feel really confident. And it was something that I felt like I could always do because especially with like my work and everything, I didn't want it to like go all out 60s with like something like this. Would have just not been possible for me to wear to work. And so I was like, with the haircut, I can always bring a little bit of like a 60s feel with me wherever I go. And in that next picture, I'm wearing this like really, really cool pullover. And I remember at this point I definitely been on Pinterest a lot, looking up 60s designer and really much falling in love with Miss Sony. And I found this pullover. I think I got it at like TK Maxx or something. It's definitely not vintage, but I love the colorway. I still have it. I don't wear it that much anymore, but it's still a really cool sweater. I think I should wear it again. Why am I not wearing this one? It's actually quite cool, I think. So I definitely do really love that. And then I'm also wearing like some hoop earrings, just like the ones I'm wearing right now, but like in a different optic. That is also kind of 60s. So overall, I'd say this is like a pretty 60s-esque 70s. That's definitely more of like a going into the 70s hippie kind of look. This isn't quite like a style picture, but I remember finding these socks that are like Beatles submarine socks and just loving them so much, so I got them. Also something that I kind of like wore to set, and sometimes people were like, oh, do you like the Beatles? And I was like, yeah, I do love them, because I couldn't like openly do it. I feel like if I would go back to a set now, I'd probably do like a lot of buttons. I feel like now I definitely know how to wear the 60s also for like a work day kind of look, but back then it didn't really work for me. I feel like sometimes there are just like longer periods where there aren't really any pictures. So this next picture I took, and I think it was inspired by like a magazine cover that I saw. And this blouse that I'm wearing, I actually had for so long before that, but it was kind of like a keepsake. It used to belong to my grandma, and then it was handed down to my mom. And for the longest time, I didn't really wear it. And at that point, I was like, oh, that's actually really working for like a 60s style. So I remember starting to wear that and really loving it. With that next picture, I'm in a record store. There's like a thrift store that I really, really loved. I still go there, but they changed location. So yeah, and I remember getting this shirt. This is also not vintage, but I love the like stripes. I feel like that's like a very 70s look, and I just got it thinking that it would also just work for like work purposes. This next picture I love. Honestly, this is such a good picture, and I definitely would wear this outfit. I gave both pieces away in a bundle, and I'm still sad. Honestly, still sad. Blue corduroy pants, is like striped shirt. It's such a cool look, and in this picture I feel like the bob really works. I don't know if I would recut it, but I do actually like it. Baby Emma's looking cute there. This was February 2018. So I think that was like a little before we went to Indonesia. That might have been in March. I don't quite recall it. But yeah, and then this next picture is also like very much a Francois Hardy, Edie Sedgwick kind of look. So it was definitely more like the cool girl 60s look that I was like kind of pulled to, more than like the Patty Boyd kind of look. I feel like that came later. At this point, I was still like, I want something that's also practical and not like all the flimsy dresses, I guess. So yeah, I love that look. Also that hat, I was like, is so cool for the 60s, it just works. This next picture, this is me on set of a TV show. I just wanted to show you the pants because I really, really love them. So these pants have the funniest story. So we were in Indonesia flying back, and we had a layover in Amsterdam. And we had the full day there. We arrived in the early morning, and it was so cold, and because we were backpacking, we didn't have any clothes. I remember not having a single pair of long pants. And so we went to like 1 or 2 thrift stores, and I found these pants, and I loved them so, so, so much. They were plaid, they were from the men's section, but they just fit me really, really nicely. I got rid of them at one point because I just kind of like grew out of them. They just got like pretty big on me, and so I didn't really love the look anymore. But I definitely still like them. Like looking back at them, I kind of sad that I got rid of them. But I'm also wearing a shoelace as a belt, which is something that I did a lot of the time. I feel like now I definitely add like a big belt. Back then, for some reason, I was very much in the shoelace look. And then this top, I definitely got somewhere. It's not vintage, like I'm pretty sure, but it's like very nicely embroidered. I loved the flowers. I think this might be from like Forever 21 or something, but I really, really liked it. I felt like this would like work really well with the look, very much like that kind of more hippie-esque kind of look. And then these sunglasses, I got these in Indonesia, and they're like a fake version of some Ray-Bans, but I just really like the round shape, so I got these. So yeah, that was me on set. Next picture is me on set as well, wearing this coat that I still have. It's like this very big winter coat. I remember at that time we went to England, my boyfriend at the time and I, because my mom was living there for a little bit, And so I was like, I really want a vintagey coat because I remember don't really having any winter coats, and we knew that we were going to have to work in like a very cold climate and like film there. And so we went to several thrift stores in Brighton and I found this jacket, and I remember it was pretty inexpensive and I love it and I still wear it to this day. It has like a little bit of damage now with like one seam being torn, but I feel like I can replace that so easily, fix it, and I love that coat. I still feel like this is a good look. Other than that, I'm just wearing like some black ill-fitting jeans and a big scarf that I probably wouldn't do like that, but you know, I liked it at the time. I think it is a fine look, so yeah, it's all good. It's just not really what I would do right now. Next picture. This is a look that I loved. These were pictures that were taken for like my website and like kind of like marketing purposes when I was still being like a director and filmmaker. And I'm wearing a black turtleneck. I still have that. Some plaid pants. These fit me a lot better. For some reason, I always like rolled everything up, and so I definitely wouldn't wear it like this right now with like the leg showing, but it's a fine look. I guess that crop look was very popular in the 50s. I think that is where I like took the inspiration for that kind of look. And then also some shoes that I probably wouldn't do like this, but overall I like this. And I started wearing berets religiously. My hair was kind of growing out. I do really like the length. I feel like a little more of like a structured cut would have worked also really well, but I definitely started to get into like more of a 60s look at this point. This next look was very, very special for me, and I'm so happy that I took a picture. It's a bad picture, but this is the first time that I did a 60s makeup, and you cannot even see it in the picture, but believe me, it was there. So in Germany we don't really do Halloween, but instead we do Fasching, which is kind of like Halloween but in February. I was working at a movie set at the time and they were like, okay, so after we finish work today we are gonna have like a costume party, and I was like, great, what can I wear? I remember going to like a friend's house because at that time I was very much living out of my backpack, didn't really have a lot of things, just like traveling a lot, working. And so she was like, oh, I have this black dress and these gloves, because she's like an artist. She makes like the most amazing art and like pictures. And so we put together this look, and I think like some pieces I probably like got somewhere, and it was like an Audrey Hepburn inspired look, very Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I loved it. Put my hair up in this very high bun. I really, really loved it. I think it's still like a fine costume. It is really that accurate, but people at the party definitely recognized it. So that was really cool, actually. This next picture is me with the artist friends, but I'm just gonna like cut them out just to make sure that they're okay with it. I really like this look. It's just like some black pants. I remember this top, I actually still have it. It's like a velvet shirt, has a lower cut back, reminded me of Stevie Nicks at the time, which I love, and the beret. I was really much wearing the beret daily. Fast forward to like a year later, I dyed my hair bright orange. I always wanted to have ginger hair. It was something that I really liked. My mom never really allowed me to dye my hair when I was super young, which like I get now, but I always wanted to go ginger, and I was so afraid that like my hair would fall out or just would do so much damage. And then on one set I met this woman and she had like the most amazing ginger hair, and I went up to her and was like, oh, I love your hair color, I wish I had that. And she's like, well, you can have that because, you know, I like work here as a makeup artist, but I also do hair, and this is not my natural color either. I kind of have your natural hair color. So I was like, wow, we need to make this happen. I ran over to hers and she dyed my hair, and I love the outcome. I love it. It was like so nice and orange. Fast forward 2020. This was like a very good year for me fashion-wise. It was a terrible year in a lot of other ways, but fashion-wise, I really grew in my style here. And that is because 2020 was obviously lockdown and everything, and I was just out of work, which was a little terrifying because, you know, I was freelancing, didn't have any work. I ended up having to work in like a coffee shop, which was fine, but like not really what I wanted to do. And so yeah, I just really had the opportunity to wear whatever I want and just be a lot more free with my style. And also at this point I had like rented out a room in Berlin, and so I wasn't really like moving around that much anymore, so I was just able to have some clothes. And so this look, this was like a Black Lives Matters protest that we went to, but I still really like the look. I remember, I think there's like a full picture somewhere on my Instagram. Black turtleneck, black little mini skirt, a big belt. This purse that I had for so long, I kind of replaced it at one point with my tulle leather one that I now use, because this one was fake leather and was kind of like falling apart. So I had to get rid of it, unfortunately, but I loved it. And in Germany for like the longest time, people didn't really wear masks. I don't know what it is, but like we used to wear scarves around our head. I think it was advised. I don't really know, but that's that. And then I really grew like into my style. This next picture, I got this 1930s nightgown. This is like such a GTO's look. I also like had my palm tattoo done, which I still love so much. If you like want to know the story behind this palm tattoo, let me know. It's like a longer one. I don't want to get into it at this point. But yeah, I'm definitely wearing like a lot of fun accessories with it. This like wooden bangle that I love, and this big hat that I also found thrifting. And in 2020 in Germany, a lot of the stores were closed, but whenever they were open, I went to the thrift store because there wasn't really a lot to do. I also was pretty depressed at that point, so like thrifting was the only thing that I really enjoyed doing. I would like put on a podcast, listen to some music, and go thrifting. And I would listen to the Muses podcast a lot. I think they stopped. I mean, I know they stopped doing episodes, I just don't know why. But if you want to get into the 60s and 70s, listen to that podcast. Honestly, it's amazing. It like tells you a lot of these stories of these incredible women. I can just really much just recommend you to listen to it. Honestly, it helped me a lot to just learn a lot of things. And then I went back to my hometown for a little during the summer. It was super hot, and I still had like some clothes stored at my mom's house. And so she was like, well, there's your old prom dress from like graduating. And I was like, oh, well, that like works really well. And so I ended up wearing this, and then my mom's straw hat and this like basket that she gave me for this very nice hippie kind of look, and I love it. And then I was out with a friend, we came by this old car, and she was like, I need to take your picture, it's just gonna look perfect here. And so that's what we ended up doing. This picture is like close to a very fun memory in a very otherwisely dark time, so I just really love looking back at this. This next picture I wanted to put in because this is one of the first like vintage dresses that I found. I remember seeing it at a thrift store and I was like, this is like such a nice 70s look. It definitely is more of like an early 70s look. I was like, I love this, I need to get it. And so I got it. I still have it, still wear it. It's a great dress. Remember that I was just so happy to find it. And I feel like at that point I also really got into makeup. So this next picture is me doing like a very heavy 60s makeup look. This like glittery top. I got very much into like groupie style at that point. I read Miss Pamela's book. And I just honestly I was living the life. There was lockdown, no one was going anywhere, but I was dressing up like this just for myself. Sometimes to go to work at the cafe, sometimes to just hang out with like roommates. So that was definitely it. But at that time, I was also still very much into making movies. And so I randomly took these pictures. It's like a picture series with like old movies that I really love. And this one is from Repulsion, which is a movie from 1965. Roman Polanski made it. And I love this picture. I like have this very like 60s cat eye kind of sunglass that was definitely popular in the 50s, but also going into the 60s, and then just a white turtleneck. And I loved this look. I felt like it was so classy. And also, while like researching Roman Polanski, basically at that time I was like such a film geek. I still am. Films still have like a special place in my heart, but I'm not like as hardcore anymore. At this time, I used to watch 2 to 3 classic films every single night. So like 6 hours of TV every night, taking notes, kind of studying all of these films, because I was like, I need to prepare myself to get into film school, which I never ended up doing, but it definitely taught me a lot. So yeah, this was a look that I really liked. And researching Roman Polanski was what started my love with Sharon Tate. I read about her in his book, and he like talks really high of her, which I think given their history is very understandable. I just want to say Roman Polanski is a very controversial kind of person. I don't want to really get into it because it's like a difficult topic. I just want to say I like his movies. I was fascinated by his memoir, but there are definitely some things wrong here. But this is like probably for another video if you're interested in that. But yeah, I really much fell in love with her style. This next picture These are like some of my first vintagey things. These shoes I found thrifting, white platforms, still have them. They are pretty damaged at this point, which I'm so sad because I like wore them to death. But they're really cool. This cigarette case, at that time I was still smoking quite a bit. I stopped doing that, which now I just like, I haven't smoked in forever because I'm also like breastfeeding still, but I feel like I still enjoy a cigarette, honestly. I like it, but I definitely not smoking anymore that much. I feel like if I was to smoke a cigarette right now, it would be at a party. I'd probably enjoy it, but it wouldn't go back to like full-blown smoker mode. And then also in the bottom of the picture you can see a little shawl that I found thrifting. It's like very lacy, I loved it. And my old typewriter, which I don't know where that went. But yeah, I used to love this. I think at one point, like I moved so much and it probably got lost at one point. Next picture. This dress I also had up until like a year ago or so, and then I gave it away in a bundle just because it was pretty triggering to me, if I'm being honest, with like my eating disorder, because it was very tight and it was just something that I didn't really felt confident at the time. So I gave it away, and with like a lot of vintage pieces, I give them away at one point and sometimes I'm sad about it, sometimes I'm not, but I feel like it's cool to know that this once was a dress that I really liked, and then at one point it wasn't good for me anymore, and so I gave it to someone else. Someone else gave it a home and is now wearing it. Probably someone of you actually. Someone from like my followers bought it. So yeah, maybe you have this dress. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. And I also got my first pair of black boots. I randomly found these. These were actually authentic 60s boots, which, what are the chances? And I remember they were very inexpensive. Black, they went up to like not all the way to my knee, which actually was like the more popular shape for them to kind of like go a little more lower, I guess. And they're shiny vinyl leather, had the seam down the front, they were perfect. But these, I still have them, but they're like falling apart. I wore them so much. And then this next picture, this is also a dress that I found, and at this point I definitely got into more of like a dressier look. I remember reading Patty Boyd's book and just being so fascinated by that like more feminine kind of look. I loved all the girls, all their dresses, and I was like, why should I wear all these practical clothes? I kind of ditched the idea, and up to this point I will not wear practical clothes. Like, people usually joke because I never wear something that actually you can do like work in, but I end up doing it and it's fine. I just now choose style over comfort, to be honest. This dress I still have, it's so beautiful. This was also a thrift find, and this, I found my first pair of go-go boots. They also fell apart, like the sole completely broke. I feel like back then I wore like a lot of cheap vintage pieces, and I very much was in a mode which like whatever 60s and 70s piece I came across that kind of fit me and that was sort of in my price range, I picked up because I was just building a wardrobe. Right now it's not like that anymore. I'm definitely a lot more curated, but back then this was kind of the way to go for me. This next picture, oh, I remember this look so much because I'm wearing like this little blouse and this really cool vest, and I feel like in the beginning I definitely only wore like dresses and shoes, and I was like, I need to keep it very simple. And at that point I kind of gotten a lot more confident with like knowing what I can put together and what works for a 60s look. And so I remember putting this outfit together, which is like kind of a lot of different pieces, and I was like so proud of how it turned out because I really like it. Still do. I need to take a little break and drink something because my voice is it's about to be gone. Oh, this next picture, I'm holding a New Hollywood book, which if you're into movies, New Hollywood is a very interesting era to get in. It's like the late 60s to the mid 70s. Very cool book, I remember reading that. But this is also a very layered look, and I'm wearing knee-high socks, or they're like over the knee, with like my boots, and I remember seeing Jane Birkin do that and I was like, that's so cool, such a good idea. I also really much got into like suede and leather, so this look kind of represents that. And then this necklace that I found, also thrifting, I was like, oh, this is so perfect. It kind of reminded me of Pamela Curson, also something that Sharon Tate would wear, just a very cool Beatles go to India kind of pendant. The next picture, I was back at my hometown. I kind of like had a little mental breakdown in Berlin. I think, like, if you want to know a little more about my life story, let me know, because that would be a long video, but I think I could put it together. But just because of like eating disorder and depression and everything, kind of had like a breakdown, so I went back to my hometown for a little. And these are my first flares. These are, I think they aren't vintage. I thrifted them, but they probably aren't vintage. I just styled them with some platforms, black turtleneck, a hat, this vest. I really like that look. It's a very nice late 60s look that I put together. Probably still wear it like this right now. But I do think that like during that time I was not doing well, but it's a great outfit, honestly. I think right after I took this picture, I actually like stopped posting for a little because I went to be an inpatient in the ED unit and also to just like sort out some mental things. I feel like my style evolution is very close to my life story, honestly, and I think that's very normal. But yeah, now we're on to happier notes. This was also a picture that I took in that time. Because the hairdressers were all closed, I kind of like let my hair grow out and did like these side bangs, which I also really liked. This is a very GTO's kind of look. I remember at that time I was very much into psychedelic fashion, and so I wore this. Still have all of the pieces. I could put this together now. And this was also the time where I really much got into not only doing my makeup but adding crystals to my makeup. If you've been on my channel for a little longer, you know that like for the longest time I used to wear all of these crystally makeup looks. I still love it, but I just don't do it that much anymore. Okay, there's this next cute little picture. These are my all-time favorite boots. I still have them. These are late 60s leather boots. They're heeled and I really love that. A leather dress and then this really cool blouse. I remember that this was one of the first purchases that I made that was like a little more expensive. This was a silk blouse and I think it was like 25 bucks, something like this, but I really loved it. It's such a beautiful blouse. I actually think that around this time I started my YouTube channel. I actually think the fall before I went in my like little mental health break, I started my YouTube channel, and this was like one of the first looks that I did. I think I even like thrifted that blouse in a video with you. That must have been the first ever thrift with me. Wow, such a long time ago, but it was great, honestly. Okay, fast forward, I am back. It's like a couple months later. I got so much into Sharon Tate. I had been like a lot into the bubbly 60s look, everything bright colored. And then I got a little more into Sharon Tate, and she definitely also did like a lot of colorful looks, but she also did these like more bohemian looks, and I remember loving this. This is a dress that I already had, like a velvet dress. These shoes are 70s platforms, also found them in the thrift store, was so happy about it. And then this really big necklace. I really much got into accessorizing at that point. So yeah, I put like a lot of these looks together. Because at the time I was doing a lot of these YouTube videos that were like dressing Jane Birkin inspired, dressing Sharon Tate inspired, I really much got into their styles and I really studied their looks, and I really, really loved that. Did some amazing Jane Birkin looks. Started really much getting into Stevie Nicks. I think it was obviously her music that tore me in, but it also really much was her style and her kind of sense. And so I like put together this outfit, for example, that I really, really liked, with like the light colored pants and this really cool like shawl kind of top. And I really much was into making like my own makeshift kind of clothes back then. I still really like that, but I do think that that's quite the cool look. And at this time I also very much started doing like these cool makeup looks, like this David Bowie Stardust makeup that I liked, and this is also a very groupie-esque kind of look. After graduating, I used to work at a club for a little bit. I was like a bartender for just a little, because basically working in the movie industry, being an intern, I made so little money that I simply couldn't afford to live, honestly. And so I worked at a club there during the night, and that really much got me like a lot of self-confidence. At this point I wasn't really that confident anymore, but I remember putting this outfit together and I was like, if the clubs were open right now, I would love, love, love to wear this, but I couldn't. I feel like back then I really much went with the seasons. There's this like flower child makeup that I did and I really liked, but I feel like back then, if you look at my feed, the pictures are kind of like every 60s style. There's this one, there's this, and I still love to do that, but I feel like now instead of like imitating other styles, I also kind of found my own sense of fashion. I feel like if you do that with like a different time period than the one that is currently happening around you, it definitely takes some time to like really get into it, because in the beginning, and that is what I would advise you if you like want to go into the 60s and 70s, get some looks from Pinterest, some inspiration, and just recreate it. It's the easiest way to get into it, and then once you kind of like understand the fashion, the shapes and all of that, do your own thing. And I feel like that is definitely what I did. This next one is this like little video. I love this so much. This was a nightie that I kind of like took. This is my new twill leather bag that is just my all-time favorite. I still wear it so much. Some cowboy boots. I really got into like the Woodstock kind of fashion again. Really, really loved it. I feel like I experimented a lot with my style to kind of find the fashion that I really love, different materials. And I think like my number one tip, honestly, if you want to know if this is your style, I at some point stopped being like what looks the best on me, and I started to go by what feels the best. So right now I feel like sometimes I wear an outfit and I'm like, oh, this is very flattering, and this isn't quite as flattering, but I don't care. For like the longest time I was so much about, oh, what is flattering on me. I had like a bigger chest. I was like, oh, I need to wear something that kind of like hides that. And I'm shorter, so I need to wear something that makes me appear taller. And I don't know, have that, so I need to wear it like this. And at one point I just stopped and I was like, this might not be the most flattering for other people, but I feel great and I feel like myself in this. And I honestly don't care if you think this isn't the most flattering look I've ever done. Because honestly, the whole idea of a flattering look to me is very messed up, because there are like beauty ideals and whatever, but I look like myself and I don't care to look like a supermodel. I will wear what I feel good in. Some days I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, oh, I look a lot thinner than I looked yesterday in this, and people will probably say that then this look is more flattering, but I don't care. I feel great in this and I feel great in other pieces, and I genuinely will wear whatever I like, because I'm not gonna go back to the mindset of, oh, I cannot wear this because my thighs will show. I just go by what feels great, and I really advise you to do the same. I love this look. This is a home-sewn 60s dress that I really much fell in love with at the thrift store. White tights. I really got into the white tights and colored tights because of Marianne Faithfull, I think. And I read her book, Faithful. It's so good. Yeah, and I think that that really much inspired me to take this little picture. And then yeah, I just experimented a lot with my makeup. I get so many questions about how to like get that 60s makeup look, and if I was always good at makeup. And no, this didn't really come easy to me because I'm like very shaky and not quite the most patient person. But I just did it, and for the first like old pictures of me, it's very wonky, it's not that detailed. But I feel like with this picture you can definitely see that I'm getting somewhere. I used to add crystals, now I really like the big lower lash line, but you can just do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good. I also did these pictures. These are Edie Sedgwick inspired. I also made the earrings myself. Definitely a more out there makeup look, but honestly, try it. If it is for you, then that's great, and you can definitely get better at it. I did so many different things. Bigger lower lashes, smaller lashes, everything. Just try and see what you will actually like, because I feel like it's all about that. If you feel confident, it doesn't matter what other people think. So I feel like during that time I went through a very dressed up 1960s phase where everything was like a very cool dress. Everything was so like going out kind of, that I at one point was like, I want to also have like some more casual looks, and so I really got into that. I remember getting this jumper. I still have it. It's so beautiful. It's just like a knitted jumper, and so I wore that for a little and really liked it. Very nice and warm, and then also looks like this. I stayed away from pants for quite a bit, because if you like look at these Petty Boys Twiggy pictures, I feel like dresses are what comes to mind when you look at their style. But I found these striped pants at the thrift store, loved them, picked them up, still have them, still wear them. They're amazing, honestly. They're absolutely great. And I'm so happy that I still have them. I'm really happy that I picked them up, honestly. These are great pants. Another picture where I just really much experimented with my eye makeup, and this is also my favorite dress. I had it for quite a while at this point. It's homemade. I definitely need to redo it, and this picture I also wanted to point out because I changed my haircut again, and I feel like if you want to talk about finding your style, it's not only about the fashion, it's also about like the overall appearance, so like hairstyles and everything. These square sunglasses are also everything, and the little makeup look, it's so cute. Yeah, so basically I went to the hairdresser with a picture of Marianne Faithfull where she had these like side parts. So basically they're now all grown out, and I don't know if I want to recut them like right now. I definitely go through different phases with my hair, but basically I kind of like got these pieces to be like this. You can see it better in the picture, but I just went to my hairdresser with that picture. It was like, I really want to get that hairstyle, and she did it, and I really like that. And I had a hard time starting to like style them in the beginning. It was kind of awkward for me, but I did really like them. So this is definitely something I am considering getting again. It's a really cool haircut, and I feel like if you want to be like a very classic 60s look, and if you want to have that effect of people looking at you and be like, oh, this is such a 60s look, makeup and hairstyling is actually quintessential, honestly, because it definitely sets the mood. Like right now I definitely also like to don't do any makeup, but if you have a very 60s haircut, like even what I have going on right now, which is just like a very straight cut but with the bangs, that's already quite the distinct 60s look. Same if you have like features, like you were wearing glasses, just get a very 60s frame, it'll definitely work with like the look. I really got into dandy fashion during that time. This was my old apartment. I actually lived in this apartment 2 times. Once before I went to Berlin in like 2017-18, and then again in 2021-2022. I loved it. It was like my little place. I moved out and just didn't love how that went and didn't love where I was going. So this apartment still has a very close place behind. It's kind of like was my little girly apartment. I could do whatever I want. It was just me. I loved it. I painted this wall, and I really liked it. It really added something to the room. It was a tiny apartment, but I felt very at home there. So I definitely went to different phases. You can see in this picture that these are definitely a lot more late 60s bohemian with this like velvet shirt, and then like a week later I wore this, which is a very 60s classic look with this fur coat, little purse, white tights. This purse is actually for my grandma, so that's kind of special. I love this look, it's so cute. That's funny, there's me in the dress that I'm wearing today. This was my 23rd birthday, I wore this dress, and yesterday was my 25th birthday. I also wore it, I just wanted to re-wear it for the video because it's so cool actually. Yeah, I love that. And then with this one, for example, I really got into like more details. So these tights are very Missoni style, so I got these and loved just like wearing them with this look. I feel like during that time I went from like a very classic girly 60s to like a more late 60s, more bohemian, did something different every day, and that is still what I like to do till now. And when people ask me, would you like to live in the 60s, I'm like, yeah, for some aspects, sure. I would have loved to see all of these bands in concert. I would have loved to take in the spirit, but overall, no. Because we as a society in most countries have evolved so much, women's rights, everything. I'm happy to live now. And then also, fashion-wise, I'm happy to live now. Because if I would have lived in 1965, I couldn't wear these like 70s looks, these late 60s bohemian looks. So I love that now I can go from one extreme to the other in like a day, and it just always feels good. I definitely go through phases. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I have worn 2 or 3 of these really 60s looks in a row, so I want to do like a 70s look. I honestly love it. Next up is this picture. This isn't a vintage blouse. I actually got this from like a company that I was working with at the time, but I do really like this picture and the makeup. Once again, I was really into experimenting with makeup at that time, and it's also a very light my fire kind of look. I remember reading The Stones, like a book about them, and I really was torn into their idea and this like kind of darker 1960s look. So even though this is like a white blouse, it's definitely more of that like magical, mystical late 60s look that Pamela Curson and Jim Morrison did. I quickly want to talk about this picture because it's like the 70s ball gown that I have. I thrifted it and I really like it. But if I'm being fully honest, this is a look that doesn't really feel like me. I love the pictures and I think it is cute, and I might wear this to like I don't know if someone gets married in my like family or friend group, but to be honest, this is an outfit that doesn't quite feel like me, and I think that that's absolutely okay. Even if you found your style, I feel like sometimes you get something, you're like, oh, it's so pretty, and I love this dress, it is so pretty, but it doesn't really feel like me. And on some days I'm like, it's okay, but on other days I really, really want to feel like me, and then I'm definitely more torn to a dress that's kind of like this, that just feels truly me. So I feel like even if you have found your style, it is okay to sometimes question it. So we are in late 2022 now. With these pictures, I took another social media break because I got pregnant and I was just thinking about a lot of things in the beginning and also not feeling really great. So I took another little social media break. I came back and I love the looks that I did. I don't know why. This was like very early in my pregnancy. Like this look, for example, is like a winter look. I'm wearing these really cool tights, velvet dress, fur coat, fur hat, white boots. I really, really love this look. The next point in my style evolution was when I decided to dye my hair dark again. These are the first pictures that I took with my dark hair. I was definitely a little self-conscious. There were different reasons why I went back to the dark hair. So first of all, the fact that I had dyed my hair for so many years, so from 2019 to 2022, for 3 years straight, I always dyed my hair. It was just damaged, especially because I said that first hairdresser, she did it really gently, but then I had to do it and it was like very, very harsh with it. So my hair was just done. The second thing was that I read and I knew that like during pregnancy you shouldn't like put bleach on your head, and so I was like, that might not be the best idea. But if I wouldn't have done anything with my hair at that point, 9 months, it would have like grown out all the way. And then the last thing was when I dyed my hair orange, I said like I always wanted to do it. It felt great. I really, really loved the idea, but it was also kind of like me going into hiding with what I actually looked like because like a trauma that just really made me feel disconnected from myself, and I didn't want it to look like that person that had to go through that. But at this point, I felt healed enough that I actually wanted to go back to my natural hair color. It took a while, and you can definitely still see this part is so much lighter than this part, and I still really want to go for like the dark hair, but I don't want to dye my hair, so see what I'm gonna do about this. But I did really like the dark hair on me. There's also this picture of me with the dark hair. It definitely took some getting used to, and it's funny because when I still had the ginger hair, people always were like, oh, you look a lot like Jane Asher. And now that I'm back to the dark hair, it's more like Linda Ronstadt and just a lot more dark-haired girls, obviously. So I feel like it's definitely a lot about the hair, how people perceive you, but I did really like going back to the dark hair. And for some reason, while I think the ginger hair definitely was a little more of a standout, this I feel like works a lot more for like a little classic 1960s girl. It's just a lot more of a classic hair color. So yeah, I went back to the dark hair. So the next picture is this like early 23. I felt so confident in my 60s style. I was like, this is it for me, and like it took a long time. I feel like when I started doing it, even though I loved it, it felt quite costumey in the beginning. And so I very much tried all these different looks, went through all of these different phases, and in like early 2023 I was like, I think I found my style. This is what I want to do. I feel so confident. I feel so beautiful. I did like a lot of styles like this one, which is like a very classic 60s style. I feel like for like a time I tried to be so out there, so 1960s, and then I kind of found my sense of style, and I feel like it's a little more toned down now a lot of the times. Not always. I still love a very standout piece, but I feel like now in a lot of places it's a little more toned down, but it feels more true to myself. And so when I got pregnant, I was a little nervous because I was like, I've never really seen anyone doing like the 60s pregnancy look. I started to go on Pinterest and I obviously found beautiful Sharon Tate. I also found some other girls like Gail Zappa with their like 60s pregnancy looks, but it definitely was hard, and I was sure that I didn't want it to get pregnancy clothes. Like I knew people were like, oh, why don't you just go into H&M and get like some maternity clothes? And I was like, because it will feel like I'm losing myself, and I don't want to, and I cannot go through that. And so I just made it a priority to wear my clothes for as long as possible. I ended up getting 2 or 3 maternity pieces, like some leggings and I think like a dress, just something to wear underneath to just cover the bump, because at one point like everything was just kind of too short. But other than that, I really made it work with what I had. And so here are some of those looks. I have this dreamy long dress from the Octopus Garden. I love this so much. It's so dreamy and it just really worked so well with my pregnancy bump. This very Jane Birkin look. I just wore like a lot of looser dresses and I love this. As said, I still definitely go from like a bohemian look to a very 60s bubblegum look, but I think I kind of now have found my own way to do it. Let me know, like, I honestly want to know if you would describe my style, what would it be? Do you think I like have a distinct style, or do you think I'm still just like copying or like recreating 60s looks? Which I just want to say there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to keep recreating looks forever, do it, and I still do it. Sometimes I see a picture of someone, I'm like, I need this. And I'm actually currently getting a dress remade out of a 1960s dress because I just love it so much. So there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. I did like a recreation of these Sharon Tate pictures with my pregnancy bump. I bought this, I actually found this at the thrift store and really loved it. It's like this little play suit. It's so cute, light blue. The only issue is that now it's just so big on me, it doesn't really work. I'm just holding on to it because I want to have another kid, so I'll definitely wear this again. But then, for example, this picture I just want to show you because this look I kind of showed you earlier with this dress, and I still wore it during the pregnancy. It was a little shorter, I wore just some shorts with it, but I really wanted this to feel like myself, and I love looking back at my pregnancy pictures because I feel like I look like myself, but just pregnant, and that's honestly what I was going for. This is a little set that I actually got. I was so pregnant in these pictures. Yeah, this was like a week before I gave birth, basically. Yeah, I do love this. This was like a little play set that I actually found on Vinted, and it was like a little maternity style set. So that was actually really great from the 60s. I did this little series where I recreated popular 1960s maternity pics. That was fun. And honestly, just like that, my pregnancy was over and I had a baby. Looking back at it, it is so quick, and it actually was quick, but it also like obviously was a long time. These were the first pictures that I took postpartum. I remember feeling a little insecure about like my bump still showing. Yeah, postpartum basically, I just really love to experiment with style. I remember putting this look together of this dress that I had for such a long time. This is like a classic green dress and I love to style it different ways. This was definitely very Pamela the Bar inspired. I just reread her book and so I was really inspired. This was just such a dreamy spring and summer. I put together so many cool looks. I love wearing them. I fell back in love with fashion. I feel like during the pregnancy I really much tried to hold on, but it just wasn't that much fun because there were just a lot of pieces that I couldn't wear, and so afterwards I just threw myself back into fashion, wearing all of these amazing pieces, and I'm so happy that I did, honestly. I also started to do this makeup look that I'm also doing today. This picture is from July 2023. I love it. I started curling the bottom half of my hair, which I don't have done today, but it's like a very Emma look. This is what I would say right now is like my Emma look, just these like bottom lashes and the curl ends, just like a very 60s outfit. And then we moved, right? And so after we moved, I also was just all about getting this together. I just wanted to have this really cool 60s home, which we now have. But during that time, I was just doing so much work that like some days I didn't really dress up at all. I was just wearing a lot of velvet pants and shirts to just kind of be comfortable. But when I dressed up, I really loved the late 60s. I feel like if you were to ask me now what is like my main fashion era, it's definitely the late 60s. So I am doing like a lot of these looks, but that doesn't mean that I don't sometimes enjoy a very early or mid 60s look, even the 70s looks. I love them. So yeah, we are getting closer to the end of 2023. I found this really cool crocheted dress. I feel like now I don't really shop as many pieces anymore because I already built like a big part of my collection. But I'm kind of looking out for these standout pieces, like this really cool crocheted white mini dress. Maybe let's end it with these pictures. This is the dress that I'm wearing today with the Missoni style tights again. So I don't even remember that I had worn it just like this before. So I feel like it's funny how I still love to wear some pieces together that I loved to wear 2 years ago. And I feel like that just goes to show you that once you kind of found your style, and I'm not saying that it's not going to evolve and change in the future, but once you really feel confident in your style, you can and will rewear pieces over and over again. I got this incredible dress by the Belated Beatnik, which is just so late 60s with these dreamy sleeves. A couple of weeks ago I actually wore this white long knitted dress, which is definitely more of like, it's also a late 60s look, but like a more bohemian kind rather than this one, which is like a more mid to late 60s kind of look. Yeah, I don't know how to end this video because here we are, and you will definitely see me evolve in my style. Probably if I will continue making YouTube videos for like the next couple of years, you will definitely see my style change. If you want to see all the pieces that I own styled, make sure to subscribe here or go over to my Instagram, because I currently do like a little short series where every day I show you one piece in my closet and like how I style it until I have worn every single piece of my clothes. So yeah, that's going on, and I just want to say this was quite the trip down memory lane. And I remember that like little, I'm saying little girl, I was like 17, which feels really small for me, or like even earlier than that. The first pictures that we looked at was 2015. This was when I fell in love with the style, and I really make do of what I had. You can definitely see in this video that like for me this didn't come from one day to another. I experimented so much with style. It was also like a money thing. I didn't really have a lot of money in the beginning, so when I made some money I definitely invested in some more 60s clothes, and I still have some pieces that I wore in 2015 and like just the beginning of my little vintage journey. And I have grown so much as a person, but the one thing that finding my style has shown me is that I am very confident about myself now and about the way that I look. I definitely sometimes go through phases where that's a little different, if I'm just being honest. Like when we moved here, I'm living on the countryside. It is hard to get to know people, and it is harder if you don't look like anyone else. I feel like if you go somewhere and everyone's wearing jeans and a shirt and you're dressed like that too, you just blend in a little more. Whilst I will come in a room, everyone's wearing jeans and a shirt and I'm wearing this, so I'm definitely the odd one out. But I do love that and I embrace it. You can love my style, you can hate it, it doesn't matter to me because I love it. I feel confident, I feel beautiful, and I wish from the bottom of my heart that you find your style and you go through the same experience. I hope that you will find a style that makes you feel beautiful, that makes you feel amazing and confident. Yeah, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for going down this trip down memory lane with me. And I also want to say, next week Sunday there is gonna come a video that has been in the making for quite a long time. You asked me how I shop for 60s and 70s clothes, and I have made a video about that before, but this time it's a little different because not only I am gonna share my favorite top tips, I also have my friends Floor and Tess be a part of it. They're like mid-size and plus size, and so this is going to be amazing. They are gonna share some tips from their perspective. They have the most amazing vintage styles too. And I love to give them a voice for you to just listen to them as well and just hear from people with different bodies, different shapes, different sizes, what it is like and how they find their amazing pieces. Because honestly, don't let the way that you look limit you from anything. You can wear whatever you want. It doesn't matter if anyone thinks it looks good. As long as you feel beautiful, you do look amazing. If you have a piece of clothing that you're a little insecure about, or just a look, or you just need a compliment, you can always tag me in your pictures on Instagram. I go through all the pictures that I'm tagged in. I will comment, I will like the picture. I will tell you how beautiful you look, because if you feel like that is a great outfit, trust yourself. It is. Other people might not like it, and that is fine. You might not like what other people are wearing. But in the end, it's all about what you like and what you feel confident in. So yeah, I hope this video helped you if you're looking to find your style, if you're looking to get into the 60s and 70s. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of these kind of videos. I love to make them. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go out, enjoy the sunshine. Take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye everybody!